Welcome back to part 3 of our gerrymandering video series. So far in this video series, we've explained what gerrymandering is and walked through the political drama in Texas.
So in this final video of our series, we're looking at the bigger picture, how other states are responding, what the courts have to say about it, and what this all means for the future of American democracy.
So after Texas announced its mid-decade redistricting, California Governor Gavin Newsom fired back.
He said California would redraw its maps too, holding a special election in November. His message was clear: if Texas tilts the playing field, California will not unilaterally disarm.
And California isn't alone. Other states are watching closely: Florida, Ohio, Indiana, and Missouri. They are all under pressure to follow suit and add more Republican seats.
And at the same time, some of the blue states, Maryland and New York, are weighing their options, although some of them probably couldn't move fast enough to change things before the 2028 election.
Right. So, of course, the Department of Justice is warning blue states like California and New York that if they gerrymander further, there will be consequences.
What I'm wondering is, why are there consequences for them and not for the red states?
I think we all know why.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about the legality, right? Have there been previous efforts to get rid of gerrymandering?
Yeah.
Most of us all agree it's a bad thing in general. Let's stop it, right?
Yeah.
Have there been efforts to get rid of it? And there have been. Just last year, there was the Redistricting Reform Act that was introduced, but it was referred to committee. It didn't progress to a vote.
Right.
Fair Maps Act was introduced also in the House of Representatives.
Yep.
It was introduced and referred to committee. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Freedom to Vote Act in 2022. It passed in the House, but it failed in the Senate, and it was filibustered.
It was filibustered, right.
Then the Redistricting Reform Act of 2021. It was introduced. It didn't receive a vote. And there's been separate efforts at the state level to address gerrymandering. So it seems like efforts have been made, but they don't go anywhere.
Right.
Which is kind of a shame for us ordinary citizens.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the courts have a lot to say about this. Let's start with the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 says states cannot dilute the voting power of communities of color, whether by packing them into one district or splitting them across several.
Right. So in 1986, the Supreme Court set 3 criteria for proving a violation of the Voting Rights Act, Section 2. The minority group must be large and geographically compact enough to form a district.
Right.
The minority group must be politically cohesive.
Uh-huh.
And the white majority in the district must vote as a bloc to defeat the minority preferred candidate.
But more recently, in 2024, just last year, the Fifth Circuit Court ruled that coalitions of different racial groups couldn't claim protection under Section 2. That's huge for diverse states like Texas.
Right. They have at least, if I remember right, 8 districts that are groups of ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the big Supreme Court decision in 2019, which went all the way to the Supreme Court. Well, the court said, yeah, partisan gerrymandering is unconstitutional, but it's a political question that's outside the court's authority. So they basically said, we can't do anything about it.
Right. So in other words, even if it's unfair, don't expect the Supreme Court to step in, especially this Supreme Court. That leaves the door wide open for states to push their maps as far as they can.
Yes, which is unfortunate for us. And we have to think about what this means for the future.
Well, we all know the 2026 midterms are just around the corner. Candidate filing deadlines are coming up fast, and new maps in Texas, California, and other states could tip the balance of power in Congress.
Right. And I know we kind of disagreed a little bit about whether like California should jump in and start redistricting because Texas did.
Yeah, just because Texas is doing something wrong doesn't mean California should do something wrong too.
And
that was your point.
I was like, I don't like this because we're not going to have a representative democracy anymore. It's just not going to be.
Right.
Everything's gerrymandered.
Yeah.
And then, I started reading and we started finding quotes from these people that I really respect.
Yes.
That were saying, yeah, we kind of have to do this.
Yes. It's part of saving our country and saving our democracy.
So I'm thinking, well, maybe we do have to. These people kind of know what they're doing, like former President Obama.
Yes.
And he said, over the long term, we shouldn't have political gerrymandering in America, just a fair fight between Republicans and Democrats based on who's got better ideas.
Right.
But since Texas is taking direction from a partisan White House and gerrymandering in the middle of a decade to try and maintain the House despite their unpopular policies, I have tremendous respect for how Governor Newsom has approached this. He's put forward a smart, measured approach in California designed to address a very particular problem at a very particular moment in time.
And he's doing it legally.
Yeah, exactly.
Robert Reich said Texas Republicans are redistricting early at the behest of Donald Trump. He ordered them to do this. The response by Democrats in California to counterbalance is being triggered by a blatant GOP plot to steal the 2026 midterms. This isn't a race to the bottom. It's a means to avoid the bottom.
Yeah. And then, of course, Governor Gavin Newsom, he said, it's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it mindful that we want to model better behavior, as we've been doing for 15 years in the state of California with our independent redistricting commission. But we cannot unilaterally disarm.
So whether you agree or not, one thing is clear. Redistricting is no longer a once-a-decade process. It's now a live political weapon.
Yeah, and it looks like it's just going to spread.
Yeah.
Now, the thing I don't like, too, is the pressure that a lot of Republican governors and legislatures are getting from the White House.
Right.
I don't think that's right. We're talking about state rights. We're talking about undue pressure. It's very obvious. We've had Vice President Vance visiting Indiana.
Yeah.
We've had phone calls. He's invited a bunch of the legislature to come to the White House to talk to them about it and try to persuade them.
Right.
I mean, just all kinds of pressure. We've had lawmakers that have robocalls, groups that are for President Trump are having robocalls come out and call everyone in their district saying, you've got to call them because, this is a critical issue and we need to redistrict, So it's just all this pressure, and that, again, gets into the money and politics part of it.
Yeah.
Because somebody's paying for all this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very upset about that pressure that's being brought to bear.
Yeah. And there is so much fear.
Yeah.
In the Republican Party right now. And I think the one thing that Republicans have to understand is a man can only have as much power as you give him.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not what the framers of the Constitution intended for our country.
Exactly. I mean, the voting rights, all the way votes happen, the way elections happen, is a power that the Constitution has given to the states.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of pressure is just give me 5 seats reminds me of when Trump called, was it Georgia? Or was it Alabama? I think it was Georgia. Find me 11,000 votes or 18,000, whatever the number of votes were. Find me these votes.
Right.
Trying to persuade.
2020.
Right, in 2020, when he lost
the
2020 election to Biden. And, that is the same thing. Find me 5 seats. Find me 11,000 votes, or however, I can't remember the exact number.
Right.
But same thing. It's cheating. It's undue influence.
Mm-hmm. It's no longer a representative democracy.
Right.
Which is what we're supposed to have, and what all of us citizens deserve.
Exactly.
And it's what we originally were protesting against Britain for.
Yes.
That we weren't getting correct representation, and now we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah.
So now I guess we leave you with this question. Should the district maps ever be drawn to increase the power of one party? Is this appropriate response to what's going on? I guess we'll leave that.
Yeah, that question we'll leave with you.
Yep.
Now, do you have a comment or a question? Drop it in the comments below or email us.
Is there something you'd like us to talk about in a future episode? Tell us.
And in our next video, we will be discussing what's wrong with Congress.
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
Yes.
Check out our Facebook, Blue Sky, and Substack accounts to keep informed and get updates.
Press the like button, hit subscribe, and help get the word out. And welcome to the conversation.